Populism has always been part of successful Republican appeal. I'd take more, in the general election in 1980, Reagan said government is not the solution, government's the problem. That's a little bit of a populist, the idea of an overwhelming, we got left populism and right populism. And we're in a moment where both are being expressed. Left populism is that the economic system has been rejiggered in favor of big corporations and the little man's getting screwed. And we got to rebalance the relationship between the little man and his government by a lot of free things. Got to get the weight of college loans off of him, got to get the weight of, got to make the big boys pay their fair share. We got to make the corporations and the stock speculators and what William Jennings Bryan, who incidentally carried this county with nearly 100% of the vote in 1896. This was a hotbed of populism. We got to get rid of the leeches and money lenders on Wall Street. But there's also right populism, which says the relationship between government and the little man has been screwed up to the advantage of government and to the disadvantage of the little man. The government is bailing out the big banks with our money. The government is giving Solyndra our money. People who don't deserve to get our money are getting money out of the pockets of hardworking people to do things like, weird stuff. And we ought not to, do that. And so we got to rebalance the relationship because the elites are looking down their nose at us. So Trump represents that impulse, but it is an impulse. Mm-hmm. And I think that the problem with the populists and first of all, the alt-right should be unacceptable. They are worse than the John Birch Society that Bill Buckley read out of the conservative movement in the 1950s. Got to be read out of the conservative movement. There's no place in our movement for those people. But the populists, I understand what the impulse is, but the question is, are you really in favor of the wealth tax? Are you really in favor of, a tax on every stock transaction? Great, go explain that to all those people who have 401ks and IRAs and Roths, that now every month when the company makes the contribution to the 401k, and it's an automatic investment into a mutual, broadly based mutual fund, that 3% is going to be taken off the top to pay for Elizabeth Warren's wealth tax, because you are the rich who are not paying your fair share. So I get the purpose of what they're saying, which is, if you look at it, there is a part of our country that's being hollowed out. I get that, northwestern Maine is no longer timber country. I get that the Ohio River Valley, the upper Ohio River Valley, is no longer coal and steel country. But what's the best way to deal with that? Is the best way to deal with it with the people who run the post office and screwed up the VA? Or is it to find ways to incentivize our economy and our educational system and our communities and our states and localities to step into that breach?